off the screen, so let's resize. And try it again. Okay. So, Astroneer is one of my recent favorites. It has been kind of a, well, I mean, just space games in general are kind of my thing. Um, and also, the story behind Astroneer is really great. If you have the time, I highly recommend the no-clip documentary that is on Astroneer and on wow, I just totally drew a blank there. That is embarrassing. There we go. Anyway, yes. So Astroneer is one of my favorites, and the no clip documentary goes into the story behind Astroneer and System Era Softworks, the company that is behind it. I follow several people on Twitter and Twitch and uh, who are directly involved with the game. So Joe is one of the forward-facing social media managers. Ginapedia, how's it going? Is or just became one of the managers to interact with people and get the awesome social aspect behind the game. And Adam Brommel is one of the lead developers, CEO, I think, of System Era Softworks, and all around has been a really great guy on Twitter and the other place, Reddit. So SES has been really great and has been listening to a lot of the community members who are interested in trying to help develop what's in the game. And there's been a lot of people with art naturally that get picked up and highlighted all over online. I originally got into Astroneer because one of my friends, you might see him around every now and then, by the name of Bagel Toe, came in and was like, hey, you really ought to check out this game. I think you'd like it. And this was back in beta, so the graphics were a lot less involved than they are now. We still had sort of the voxel looking terrain and things like that. The plants on the planets were a lot less developed. I mean, naturally, this is when it was greenlit on Steam and all that. And it really took off from those early days. If you watch some of the early videos back in the time, the ship that you're seeing here was just like, I think it was just the O-ring that you have here that's turning, and on it you had your different saves that you could go to, and your pod would sort of pop out of each one as you went across. And there were a limited number of saves for slots. Alright, if we go over to start a new adventure game, you get the option of creating your Astroneer. Many of these are going to be inaccessible because if you are just starting out, you have not been to other planets. And you really need to explore the game in order to get a lot of the options that are here. So each of these different suits will come as a prize for completing some sort of objective. Many of the colors are also the same, so you can get these for completing different objectives. And notice that one is locked here. This is the Complete EXO Dynamics Solar System Mastery Achievement, which is to get every other achievement. I still have yet to do that. The basic setup is that we are over the planet Silva currently, which is a fairly hospitable type, Earth-type Class M-ish sort of planet. There is not enough atmosphere, so you will not be able to breathe on any of the planets. And the planets going around the solar system have varying degrees of hostility. These planets are in reverse order that they are listed here. Silva, the starting planet, Glacio, which is the ice planet, Atrox, which is the sort of poisonous type planet, Novus, which is a moon of Visania, and both of them have a lot of organic, like plants, stuff like that. DeSolo is a fairly barren moon of Silva, and Calidor is the desert planet. Lost it for a minute there. All right. And you will also get, if you decide to play Astroneer, you'll also get bonus things for completing other objectives, which also include some seasonal stuff. So the bobblehead, for example, is for completing the last holiday challenge. Pumpkin, likewise, for one of the previous Halloween events. So there's all sorts of really cool stuff that you can get. So at the moment, I think I'm going to keep the kind of standard palette. This is EXO standard. I'm going to keep the EXO suit with the mirrored silver visor, and just going to have the second anniversary item just because congratulations everybody. SES has done a great job. You made it 2 years being fully released, and I'm loving it. And we won't do any masks just today, but alright, so oops. Once you've selected your options here, so what do you want? We will launch. There's our pod, and let's start it. Yeah, and the research that's done here for the pumpkin shelter is also one of the Halloween events. So as you see, we come over the top of Silva here. We've got some pretty decent resin nearby. That's the yellow material. There's some compound off in the distance here, and a lot of organic right around where we are right now. So we exit the dropship. It will then automatically construct a base for us. We also then get to have some free stuff. So we get an initial drop-off of 3 items. These items are the oxygenator, which will allow us to have oxygen at the base and anything it is immediately connected to. A medium printer, which allows us to print various objects, and a starting platform, which allows us to put stuff on the platform and then also connect with power. So some of the things that you're going to want to do immediately are to get your medium printer, get your medium printer hooked up on on your platform, and then I'm going to put it over here and hook it up to power. You'll notice that over here on this ring on the side, and it should be on every ring all the way around, so all 4 sides. You should see this yellow ring here. If it is disconnected from power, it is black, so it has no power. If it is connected, it is yellow, and it will have power. If your power is being drawn elsewhere, then it will be partially filled. Any more than halfway is good. So if we get somewhere up in the top half, we're good. If it's down in the bottom half, that means that the item that is on it is not running very efficiently, so you should get more power. Alright, the oxygenator can be hooked into the base directly. There's a bit of an exploit. This was found by a number of the community members. If you just kind of pick it up a couple of times and put it on the ground, you get this packaged item indicator, which is telling us that you should put this oxygenator over here in order to hook it up to your base. Or you can not do it. And if you just leave it off and go away, this packaged item indicator keeps showing up. And if we go for a little bit of a run here, go collect some resources. We use our terrain tool to collect resources. There are a few things that you want to get right off the bat. So first is going to be a container or canister that is going to allow you to store the dirt that you're picking up. And really you should do it warding 50% oxygen. And you can see on our backpack, the blue bar at the top is the oxygen. It is visible while it is on your back. So you just kind of work around until you can see it. And we have here 3 resin. The resin's good stuff for being able to create oxygen filters, which help you breathe out in the field. Most of the time I'm not going to use them unless I'm stranded somewhere and I can't get back fast enough. The next one over, next one over is the canister, which we want. I'm going to put this in an easily accessible and visible position, so I want that on the top here to be able to see, or I can put it on my terrain tool, again, so that I can see where it is in this, how full it is. It is kind of helpful to be able to see it at least. Let's see, what else? Generally speaking, you only need 1 canister unless you're going on a very long hike and you want to build a lot of stuff. So the canister is going to allow us to, once we pick up a sufficient amount of dirt, we're going to get some organic while we're out here. And once you fill your backpack up, including your terrain tool, you'll also see on the blue ring here, sorry, there is a blue ring around your terrain tool cursor, which will also tell you how full your canister is. So this is also helpful. If you have a canister and it has dirt in it and you hold Alt, you notice that the arrow, which was pointing down, is now pointing up. This will allow you to build stuff off of it. You can also pick that back up. Or if you hold Control, you notice that this has like a flat bar now, and depending on where you put it. So if we want, for instance, to make a flat surface with this angle, you hold Control after you get to that particular angle, and this will now build like a ramp. This is going to be fairly helpful as we start digging holes, or if you want more space. So one of the things that you can do off of this is to come up to the side here and hold Alt, build a little platform like this. Oops. Oops, oops, oops. Okay, there we go. Try to build like a flat platform here. And if we hold Control and build this out, now you see I've run out of dirt, but if you try to build this out, now we've got like this little platform that we can build on. Now there are ways to store resources. There are all sorts of little things that you can build. I prefer kind of one of the old ways, which people are going to yell at me about, which is digging holes and shoving resources in. This was especially helpful back in the old days when there was wind and storms that came through. The storms would actually pick up some of your stuff that you had just laying around, and they'd get tossed around. You wouldn't see them again. So it was really necessary to carry around, or to dig holes in the ground and dump your resources in. Nowadays you can do much better than that, but I don't know. I guess I'm maybe a little bit of a purist. Some of you may have also noticed that when I came up to the top here, when I jumped off of here, I started sliding, and then I was able to jump off at the bottom. If you go to a particular edge and then just hit a steep cliff area, you will start sliding. If you're not going fast enough, you won't. But if you, for instance, hold shift and move, generally you walk a little bit quicker, you run, and it allows you to create a sliding motion. This is helpful when you get down further into the lower layers, because you can dig. One of the first things that you learn how to do when you get your terrain tool is start digging holes. This is again very helpful when you have a flattened terrain tool, because now we can start digging a flattened area. You notice that you start going pretty slowly as you're coming down here. And it doesn't create a space which is very large. This is somewhat easily fixable because as you start moving, you can go fast and create oops, yeah. Uh-oh. Don't have headroom here. You can start creating a ramp as you go down while you're sliding. So later on I might be able to pull off a little trick called core sliding, which allows you to create a ramp as you're sliding down. You do have to maintain a certain speed so that you're not going too fast, otherwise it's not going to work. So the way to do it is to jump down, start hitting shift, and then, oops, yeah, I'm going too fast and I didn't do it right. So start a slide, and then hold control on the terrain in front of you, and kind of scoot around a little bit in front of you to make a hole and make it wide enough and tall enough that you can go in. All right, now we're getting our first look at some wildlife on the planet. This is a plant. That is, which one is that? Nope. Okay. Pop coral is the name of that one, for good reason. If you have your terrain tool hit it, it will pop, and if you're in the area, if you're in the blast zone, you will get hurt. All right, you can hear me breathing a little bit hard here, so we'll come up to the surface by running, and if you kind of switch moving left and right, you actually move slightly faster as you're heading up. We are suffocating. There we go. Alright, you can see De Solo here traveling across the sky, and way in the back there, I want to say that's Glacio, but I can't tell exactly. Somebody's going to yell. So. Alright, so we can get generators which add power but take organic in order to run them. Beacon here requires a quartz. Don't have any of that yet. Worklight requires copper. A small printer, which is somewhat helpful, you get some stuff out of it, requires a compound. Tethers can require a compound. These are to be able to extend the oxygen that your base will create. Currently, it will not actually create any because I do not have the oxygenator set up. So, tethers are really good when you first start out. To many people who are doing, well, to anybody doing speed runs, they're kind of useless and a waste of your time. Anybody who is just playing a casual type game, these are great because you can poke these stakes down. They will extend your oxygen as far as you want to go. So for instance, I can see some debris way out here next to this mountain, and nope, not there. Right, way out here next to the mountain, there's some debris of a long lost Astroneer who has, you know, crashed something here or lost something here. So we can actually go over there and see if there's anything useful. There's also compound over here, which we're going to need. There's also likely compound downstairs in the bottom of this cave system. All right, we'll soften this up just a little bit there. Mostly I'm just doing this because I'm having fun with it, and really this is the thing about Astroneer, is that you should just have fun with it. I will also say this game is much better when played with friends. If you can create like a community group, there's some clay over here. See that like sharp brown stuff? If you can create a community group, if you get a bunch of friends together, it's really great to play this with friends and just have a good time with it. You know, whether you have goals or not, it really doesn't matter. You're just going to have fun, like building out your base. Some people do like base races where you start building out bases and try to race your opponents, who are, you know, your friends, but you just feel like going against them and having a good time. So, start going down here again. There we go. Oops. Nope. Right, I didn't actually have the soil for that, so. Pick up more. You'll notice that when I popped one of the pop corals, it spit out a little pink blob, and that was actually some research points that it had attached. This is a research sample that is just like a rock formation, and on various planets they are worth different amounts. On Silva, these are worth small amounts, usually less than 50. I wasted a bunch of time there. Alright, too fast. There we go. Alright. So that was a pretty decent mini slide there to be able to build out this area, and to get the slide down to this layer at least. There are many people who do it much better than I. Chief among them, probably my mentor in this game and speedrun extraordinaire, Captain Space Toaster. So you will have heard of me speak of him many, many times. So if you are interested in doing some speedruns of this game, Captain Space Toaster held the any percent world record for quite a while on speedrun, speedrun.com. We're at 25, so 25%. Gonna go back up. Again, you go a little bit faster if you toggle back and forth. You stop being able to run while you're suffocating. Alright, with the medium printer you can create a large printer, a research chamber, EXO request platform, large platform A, which allows you to put large items on it. And that's it for now. If you want to know what else you can have, you can hit tab, or inside your backpack there's this little handle over here. You can pull open the research catalog. So for being able to print stuff inside your backpack, you have this first layer here. So everything that you had available that I highlighted, toggled through, everything is here. So oxygen filters, tether. You do not have an oxygen tank or a portable oxygenator. We have a small printer. We don't have packagers, which allow us to repackage items into boxes. Easy to carry. Small canister, which we got, beacon, and the work light. We don't have glow sticks or floodlight. We have the small generator. We don't have power cells, which are just disposable or consumable items. Small solar and small wind turbines, which are very useful, and small batteries. We also have the terrain tool modifiers. So there's a boost mod, wide mod, narrow mod, inhibitor mod, and alignment mod. The boost allows you to cut through stuff faster. The wide and narrow, obviously just take your affected area and change that. The inhibitor okay, will pull resources. I've never used it, obviously. Will pull resources out of the ground without deforming it. You do have to be pretty close to the resource, so there's that. And the alignment mod aligns terrain deformation to the curvature of the planet. So the problem with just hitting control and then making a flat surface is that it will literally be flat 100%, which means that if you go far enough, gravity actually shifts underneath you and you are no longer going downward. I ran into that problem at one point early on when I was just trying to dig to the center of the planet. I was kind of going diagonally, and then I was suddenly going up despite having been digging in the same direction because the planet looked more like this. And I went over the core, and then suddenly I'm literally going up toward the surface again. We have drill modifications, which allow us to drill through harder surfaces. These require the boost, or the modifications and the drill mods all require extra power. So you need to be able to self-sustain or wait until you start building power back up. Dynamite, fun stuff. Fireworks, it's just mostly for decoration. The small camera allows you to take photos. The trumpet horn allows you to make small noises. We'll find one eventually. Holographic figurine. Terrain analyzer. And the probe scanner. At some point, I'd like to do the Wanderer mission quest, which has to do with the probe scanner. So today will not be that day, but. And here we have jump jets and hydrazine jetpacks. The jump jets take solid fuel, and they have a set, in this case, 50 boosts. So you only have 50 boosts, and that is it. Once they're done, they're done. The hydrazine jetpack consumes hydrazine, which is a nice little rocket fuel, and you can turn on and off this module as you will, and also refuel with a new hydrazine pack. Alright, in the medium printer, in the things you can print with a small printer are a medium printer, which we have, a new oxygenator, medium shredder, which takes objects and shreds them into scrap, a field shelter, which is a small version of this shelter that we have here, the auto arm, which will automatically take stuff from one place to put it somewhere else, a medium resource canister holds up to 32 nuggets of one single resource. Fluid and soil canister will allow either a fluid or soil to be placed inside of it. And a medium gas canister allows atmospheric resources to be stored. We have power sensor. Gotta be honest, haven't used most of this stuff, so I've been focusing on a lot of other things. Power sensor will activate specific objects based on power. Storage sensor activates targeted items based on storage items. Battery charge, button repeater, delay repeater, count repeater. These are power extenders, so if I wanted to place this platform further away, I can only go a certain distance before it won't connect anymore. You can place extenders between them and then carry that distance out further, or just place another object between them. A power switch will allow you to toggle power. A splitter allows you to make two separate power lines out of one. Medium generator allows you to burn carbon in order to create power. Medium solar panel and medium wind turbine are just larger versions of the ones that fit on the backpack. These require two spaces and each produce one power at max. Solar panel produces 2 power at maximum. Wind turbine produces 1 power at maximum. They are variable depending on the positions of their available resource and the strength of said resource. So wind turbines naturally work on how fast the wind is going, and solar panels work on what angle they are compared to the sun. At least that's how they work in real life. I'm not sure if it 100% works on it here, but I'm pretty sure it at least more or less works that way. Medium battery, so you can store a large amount of power in this one battery. And an RTG, radiothermic generator, allows you to, again, real life thing, if you've seen The Martian, they had a radiothermic generator, which was one of the plot devices in The Martian. Mark Watney had to go get one, which basically is just using nuclear fuel to create heat and power. Medium platform A, again, we have one of them. Nope, we have a B. Medium platform A just has the 2 connected pieces in the middle. The B is the one that we already have, which has the 2 connected pieces and then 2 singles off to the sides. C's, tall platform, T platform allow you to have different shapes. Cool stuff like that. Medium storage allows you to fit 8 resources in place of a dual. Is it dual? No, it's only 2. It takes up 2 spaces and it gives you 8 single spaces. So you have to have 2 connected spaces and put this on top of it, and then it gives you 8 singles. A medium storage silo, which I'm going to definitely get a bit later, provides 24 small slots. They're all singles, they're all separate from each other. These come in handy in the speedrun especially because you need to fit a lot of power generators onto small pieces. If you're going to do a speedrun, you're going to need a lot of power. Alright, tall storage allows you to put storage up higher. We have the rover seat, which is going to allow us to sit in rovers. We have the tractor, the trailers, which can be connected to the tractor, and this allows you to be a little bit more mobile. I typically don't go for the tractor, although it's easy enough to get. I'm more of a buggy type person, and this is something in the medium. We'll get to that in a minute. Medium buggy horn, and the winch, which allows you to connect to stuff and pull yourself. Yeah, an experiment that went horribly wrong. Or right. The winch has had so many issues with it since it was added to the game. It's been a source of contention and also amusement among most people who have used it. A paver allows you to make stuff that's flat. And drill strength 1, 2, and 3, which can be connected to your rovers. A solid fuel thruster, which has 4 launches. And hydrazine launcher, which again burns hydrazine. in place of these disposable launchers, which like the solid fuel ones over here. Now I will say 4 launches does not mean like 4 up and then you get like down as a freebie. 4 launches means that if you launch off this planet to orbit, that is 1. If you launch from orbit to another planet, that is 2. If you... Yeah, no, that's right. If you launch from the ground to orbit, that's 1. Orbit to another planet is 2. And then landing is free. But then you launch off of that planet is 3. And you launch to a different planet is 4. And so it will pop as you're up in the air. It sounds like it kind of explodes on you. And then is no longer accessible. The medium printer can print large printers like we saw just before. This is going to be your bread and butter for the entire game. You need to have a smelting furnace. This is going to help you create resources and take mineable ores and turn them into ingots. Soil centrifuge allows you to pull resources out of the ground. You just have to dump a lot of canisters into it in order to get some resources back. So you can get a large amount of compound and resin and organic. But then as you start getting toward the rarer compounds, they start falling off. So it's going to take like an entire 2 canisters to get you, 2 full canisters to end up getting you, gosh, I don't remember what the exchange rate is, but it's 2 full canisters will get you something like 8 organic compound and resin, or something like 2 quartz, I think, or 1 ammonium. It's a steep exchange rate. The chemistry lab allows you to create compounds later on. The atmospheric condenser allows you to pull certain gases out of the atmosphere. It depends on what planet you're on. So around Silva, I think we have nitrogen and argon are the 2 major gases. We have the research chamber is available. The EXO request platform allows you to trade goods that you find or goods that you make for usually seasonal benefits. So most of the time you're getting the EXO request platform for an event that's going on. The trade platform allows you to trade scrap for certain items, resources. And this also has an exchange rate that you kind of get used to, or it says it right on it what it's worth. The large shredder will take larger items and break them up. Large platform A, again, is just a square that's got 4 slots in it, which is 1 large slot or 2 medium slots or 4 small slots. Large platform B also adds 2 medium slots to the side. Platform C allows some uprights. And then you have a T platform, a curved platform, and an extended platform, which allows you to potentially like connect things that are further apart from each other. All right, large resource canister, large storage. We're going to use this a few times. Large storage silo, A, B. Again, different arrangements of the same stuff. Large active storage, so this is going to be like activation slots. And there we go. This is the buggy that I want. So we need 1 compound and 1 aluminum in order to make the buggy. This also provides its own oxygen, so this is usually why I go for the buggy like as soon as I can get it. Large rover seat is for large rovers. All right, we got the medium rover, which allows you to fit. It has 1 large slot that goes on the top. More than likely, you're taking the buggy seat and you're sticking it into one of the medium slots that leaves you just 1 other medium slot. A crane, which allows you to grab stuff, a large foghorn, and a recreational sphere. Alright, the large printer allows you to print a shelter, which is what we have. Auto extractor, also known as the thumper. Similar to, but legally distinct from, the one from Dune. The solar array, which produces 8 power, but takes a lot of resources. The extra large shredder, which just takes much larger objects and turns them into much more scrap. I will say, if you're using an extra large shredder on small objects, you're still getting the same amount of scrap as you would if you were using the small one. It's not going to change any. Medium sensor arch. So these sensor arches allow you to, like, when something happens or when something passes through it, then something else will happen. So you can create little conditionals. Sensor canopy, sensor rings, sensor hoops, extra large platforms, which allow for much larger items to be placed on them. Type B, Type C, curved, XL. Figurine platform. So this is a recreational item. I believe that this one is for chess, actually. Extra large sphere or hemispherical storage. The large rover, which is great if you can get it. When you get enough resources to create rubber, which are carbon and something else. You put them in the chemistry lab. There we go, and it'll produce rubber. Aluminum alloy is aluminum and iron. Don't quote me on this. It's been a very long time. Landing pad, which allows you to land your ships on it, and you can see them from orbit. It's very helpful when you're trying to create a new base somewhere else. We have a single landing pad back here. Again, this is where we got our initial stuff from. By the way, if you hit the button again to get more initial stuff, it's going to take away your old initial stuff, so don't do that unless you want to reset. The small shuttle, medium shuttle, and large shuttle all offer larger amounts of storage. And, oops. This last one is the pumpkin shelter. So we have it unlocked, don't have to research it. You notice that right here I have 71 bytes worth of research. A lot of this stuff is like, fairly expensive. This is 2,000 bytes for the extra large storage, but you wouldn't need that anytime soon. The kinds of things that we'd be looking for are going to be the smelter, smelting furnace, and like the chem lab. These are all about 750, 250, 1600, 2200. We don't need the atmospheric condenser or the chem lab for a while, so those are going to be staying in here for a while. Don't research something unless you actually have the resources to create it. Good rule of thumb. You don't want to create the chem lab or the atmospheric condenser if you don't have access to iron, for example. Large platform B is something that I will usually get almost immediately because I like having the extra medium slots on the sides. So generally speaking, again, I'm going for the buggy, large platform B, which is going to be, it's going to cost 2,000 total to get those. And smelting furnace, so 2,250. So we need a fair amount of research in order to get that. This is going to obviously take a while with me walking around and talking. There are other places to get research, so you don't have to just go downstairs to grab it. You can also run around and try to find other stuff. So there are holes in the ground, which will sometimes dead end like that one. And other times they'll get you something useful. Get some compound out of here. Also, benefits. If you can start digging and then hit Alt really quickly sometimes control also works, you'll do something called fast mining, where you grab basically all of the resources within the immediate vicinity of your cursor. You do have to let off of your mouse button and then tap Alt when you do it. And this will, like I said, mine a lot of the resources that are immediately surrounding your cursor. Alright, we're out. And if you time it right, you don't actually need to create any oxygen filters, at least not for a while. And again, you'll notice that the blue line that's rimming the shelter here does not extend over onto this platform. If this platform were hooked up to an oxygenator, like if I actually followed the directions and put the packaged item on top of where the packaged item indicator is, then it would fill the sides of this cable plug with blue. Alright, Bing Cortana and Cherry Dipper, welcome back and welcome in. We're playing Astroneer. If you have any questions, let me know. I've been playing Astroneer for like 4-ish years, on and off, and more on in the past like 2. Alright, so we're going to dump some compound in here. Actually, we're not going to dump compound. We would like to print. Okay, we could get the large printer, but it's not going to do us a whole lot of good. We can get the research chamber. Alright, and you'll notice here the ring just went down into the lower section. We're only filling about half of the lower ring. This is currently an inefficient method of... It's currently inefficient at printing. So if we filled up the lower half entirely with yellow, then it would be as efficient as it could get. If it starts going up into the upper section, it's actually slightly too efficient and it's creating more power than it's using. So usually you want to keep it in the lower bit while it's actually working. And we're also going to need a platform for the research chamber. We need a large platform in order to fit it. So again, we need, I would prefer the large platform B in order to fit it on, in which case we're going to need, how much was a large? Large B, 500 bytes. So we need to go find some research. We can go out in the field and look at what this buggy, or what this rover has on it. It is a broken rover, and it has a battery. And that's it. Get some compound while we're out. And even when the packaged item indicator is obscured, it still will, you can see it through the ground. This is a big help if you're underground and you don't remember where your base is. Now keep in mind, you do have to keep your cursor away from that indicator because I touched it earlier and it went away. So if you're underground, that's a problem. All right, we'll move that over and we'll see what else we got. Alright, EXO request platform requires ceramic, which requires clay, which then you have to smelt it into ceramic. Alright, large platform A, again we could do that, but I'm going to skip. And large printer. So we're going to need it eventually. I'm just going to... That was weird. Okay. Sometimes they don't like printing right away. Anyway. Alright, we can go toward the hills over here. I should have emptied my stuff. going to get a research sample right here. Research item. 2. Alright, there's nothing really here, so we can grab this other one here. You can also use the terrain tool extension, which is a little bit of a cheese, but it works very nicely. Oops. Oh no. If you have an item that is far away from you and you have your terrain tool out, you can actually grab stuff that's super far away. If I put it away, I can't actually grab this. But if I pull out the terrain tool, I can grab it from really far away and grab it here. Alright, the other one I think got dropped somewhere. There. And if you run, jump, and then grab something, it allows you to scoop it, and then you still have the fast momentum in the air while you're doing your jump. Place it down somewhere, and when you land, you can still run. You can use shift to sprint as well, and sprinting does not work when you have when you're trying to carry something. So that's why when we're trying to carry something long distances, we sprint, we jump, we grab, we drop, sprint, jump, drag, drop. Oops. Right, and if you hold shift while you try to grab something, it will immediately go into your hands. So that's why you need to sprint. I put sprint on toggle rather than hold. And it allows you to carry stuff long distances by doing this. Again, it's a little bit of a cheese, but it works nicely. Alright, we're going to unpack both. Not going to need them at the moment, because again, we don't have a large platform B yet. We could print a platform A, and you know what, it's worth it at this point. So print one large platform A, and then eventually I'll get a B. Alright, so we're going to put some compound in here. Why not do some tethers just because? Oh, right, we need a small printer too. Notice that this takes power as well as, and then we're pulling from the battery, so the battery here recharges at a slow rate. We only need one of those, and I might as well do tethers just to show what's going on with that. And let's see if I remember the keybinds. Alright, so we're going to put resin in this one over here. Yep. Should just be T. If you go a little bit outside of your oxygen zone, you should be able to hit R, is what I have it set for. And then you can see like how far you can go before the tether is not going to... Oh, right. I don't have the oxygenator set up, so that's not going to work. If you have the oxygenator set up, it will pump oxygen through the tether network. So it will go as far as it'll reach. Alright, we want the platform A to not be near anything that is going to cause some issues. The research chamber can be like in the middle of stuff. That's fine. Hook it up to power. And then put the research chamber on top. This will get us 460 bytes in about 11 minutes at a rate that is given here, 12 bytes per minute. Not super great, but yeah, you know, it works. So this is the lower rate, which we see here by this graph, and then after 3-4 minutes, something like that, it's going to jump up to this much higher rate, and we get like I don't know, what's that, probably 30 to 50 a minute, something like that. The small printer can be put over here somewhere. Oops. Alright, if we turn it around and then connect it up here, so it'll allow us to print small objects. So a medium printer, not very helpful. Medium platform A, medium storage, which again is pretty nice. Rover seat, small canister, work light, all the stuff that you can print on your personal backpack, or some of the stuff you can print on your personal backpack as well. Right, so the rover seat is 2 compound. We're going to need it eventually. Don't have to do it right this second. And we could do 2 resin for a medium storage, which again allows us to have 8 items if we put it onto a place like for the medium printer here, a place that has 2 slots like this. All right. Do I want to show the cheese? Sure. Let's show the cheese. So let's hook up the small printer here instead. Disconnect this bad boy. Put the printer over on the side because we don't really need it right now. And let's grab the oxygenator and hook it up on this thing instead. You notice that the blue bar is now on this particular particular platform, which we can carry around this platform, and even if we are no longer connected to the main network of oxygen, we are now connected to this oxygen right here. So, like I said, a little bit cheesy, but it really works nicely, especially if you're not going to be doing a tether network. So if we want to, we could also start a slide down this. Oops, missed. Alright, and if you did it properly, we could figure out where exactly this is connecting to the tether network and still provide us oxygen as we go down further. And try to go as far as you can. Try to space these out. If you go a little bit past where it is disconnecting you, it will still connect to the network. It gives you a little bit of a grace. So, how many tethers do we have left? Looks like 4. 3. So we've got 3 tethers left. These will be disturbed if you touch the ground at all where they're sitting. Good news on pop coral. This will not hurt you if you just leave it alone. Even if you walk right up to it, it's not going to do anything. It will only actually burst when you pop it. So you have to take up some of its roots in order to cause problems. So this is also, pop coral is very bad if you are mining. So if you just happen to be like digging through a zone and there's some pop coral that's just happens to be on the other side of a wall that you end up digging through or something like that, you can burst through and kill yourself with pop coral. Alright, this is sphalerite, which smelts into zinc. It is a useful resource which comes up fairly often a bit later on. You can see here we've got a whole bunch of resin, so if we ever came down here without the tether network, we'd be able to connect up. We would be able to grab a whole bunch of, where is it? We would be able to grab a whole bunch of resin and keep ourselves alive with oxygen filters. Alright, you notice that when you have something picked up, you can't run. Technically, again, if you wiggle left and right, you end up going a little bit faster. This is like single frame faster. Oops. And sometimes you get stuff that kind of ghosts through walls. You gotta be careful with that. You don't want to lose it. Ah. Alright, we can bring this over here. I'm just going to dump it on our landing pad for now. How we doing? Alright, so 59 bytes per minute, pretty close to the 60 that I guessed earlier. And we have now over 250 bytes, so this means we can go and purchase the smelter. You notice that it turns gray instead of pinky, sort of like red, you cannot buy this. It turns gray, and you can now afford anything that is gray. So 1 compound and 2 resin will get us the smelting furnace off of a medium printer. And we also said we wanted the 500 bytes for a large platform B. We now have 122, so gotta start stacking up more. Let's see. There was also some other stuff somewhere. It's also somewhat good to get yourself a elevated position to see a little bit farther, be able to look around a bit. So we have some other stuff besides the compound over here. We also have some stuff over on top of the mountain that might be graphite, which would be pretty nice. Don't really need it this early in the game, but could be useful. Alright, we're going to take this sphalerite and dig another hole. Sphalerite by itself is not particularly useful unless you come across EXO Dynamics Research boxes. Sometimes we'll request sphalerite. They may never, in fact, request sphalerite. It all depends on which one you're looking at. So we're going to dig out this platform here, start making a, yeah. Also, the other problem is that if you drop a tether like that, everything down network is going to be out. So if you have friends who are connected to your tether network, you need to hook those up as fast as possible. There. Hear that little boop sound is the canister being completely full. It uses some of the dirt in order to fill in places that are here, so it uses some of the spare dirt. And then we can pick it up, put it down again. So it'll use some of the spare dirt, and then every time I pick something up, it's going to make that boop sound again. Alright, we get some more compound here. Start fast mining. Oof. Compound and resin right next to each other. That's pretty nice. Alright, this is getting us into the other side of the place where I just was. We've got some, if you notice that right up there, that should be quartz. Yeah. And if we line this up just right, we should be able to create another ramp here that's too steep. Yeah. Maybe. Here, let's do that. This one's okay. This will be a bit less steep. Be able to get us back up to the other side. And we should be able to find some quartz and some other cool stuff that's up over there. probably laterite, which is aluminum. We did see some earlier. It had this sort of cobalt blue looking color to it. No, that's sphalerite. Oh, no, that's still sphalerite. Okay. Another research item. So if you're playing early game and you're just doing some basic, like how does Astroneer work kind of gaming, research items are great. They'll help you figure out how research works, how to prioritize. Different sized items will give you different research amounts, so it's helpful to know what kinds of research items to be looking for, what's worth your time later on if you decide that you want to either do like a speed run type thing or something similar. Alright, so if we okay, if we put this on, yeah, it automatically researches. It'll tell you again here we've got 13 bytes per minute, and then it's going to go up again to about 60. It's going to take 12.5 minutes, and it's about 560 bytes. If we check where we are, we've got 388, so a bit shy of the 500 we need. We found some laterite. Where was it? Right here. It's blue. Alright, and now we have over here on the right an EXO Dynamics Research Aid box. This box will activate with power. If we dig out just a little bit here, it requires 3 power to open the box. So we need to have 3 generators, which we do not have at the moment. That's 2 aluminum, 2 laterite, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Alright, we got 5 aluminum. We are full on inventory, so we ended up dropping the excess. We'll come back to it in a minute. I should have dropped everything upstairs again. Whatever, it's fine. $400. Alright, empty out, head back down. Oh. I was going way too fast for that, so. The core slide is going to be a very helpful tool for you to get used to and try out. Since we got the tethers right here, we'll go ahead and place this down. Okay, and then we've got still 2 more. Put one up top here. And one there. the research aid box, I really should have made some generators upstairs because, again, it's easy, it's low-hanging fruit, and they're worth kind of a lot. Not a huge amount, but like 300-400 bytes easily. This right here is a hispine. It is a poisonous plant that spits nasty stuff at you. Gives you some research when you kill it, usually, though sometimes not. And you really got to remember where you're coming from, so don't get yourself lost down here. It's very bad. Again, the packaged item indicator. Oh, actually, packaged item indicator was still there. I wasn't expecting that. I think because I didn't put the oxygenator in the appropriate slot. I just stuck it onto a platform, so that's still up there, wanting me to put it in the correct place. Alright. So now if we throw something like this just on the ground for a minute, we go over to generators. We need to make 3. 1. I grabbed a resource midair. 2. Oops. Shut these off for the moment. We don't need the extra power because we still have some in our battery. So we can now grab the stuff I dropped and then head toward the EXO Dynamics Research box, which was back this way. If you do accidentally click places, you will point. It is somewhat annoying. Alright, so we put this on the ground and we hook the power up, and then we get all 3 of them before you turn it on. Get all 3 of them in place, and then just real quick, 1, 2, 3. And off, off, and off. Bring it back in. Here is the research sample worth 313. And then find your tethers. All right. When we come back, we now should have enough. Yeah, almost 1,000. So we're going to research large platform B because I like it. And then we need another 1,000 in order to research the buggy. So we'll get there. Take this out of the way, and now we'll do a... Oops, wait, no. Yeah, not that one. We need the medium. So we need this back. Take the oxygenator off. Put medium platform back, or medium printer back on, and then connect to power. Go with large platform B. That's going to take a while. So, if you do have power generation techniques, now is a good time to use them. You can use the generators that you have. That will burn through some of your organic. I can stick my battery on here. It'll burn through the extra battery, and we can still see it's around 30%-ish for efficiency. So, not doing terribly well, and once the battery runs out of juice, it's not going to generate anymore, so... I, on the other hand, will generate power, so I can walk around with it, and it will very slowly generate some power. Alright, it's out. So we're going to hook that up and not connect to the platform. Let's see, there was also a dead platform really far out. Alright, let's fill up on O2. And then let's make a run for it. Nope. Worth a shot. Alright, so we take this off, put this on, and oh no, that's too bad. Alright, that's not working. I'm not sure I'm going to make it back. Oh well. Probably should have just left it behind. So close. So close. No! I went tumbling into the abyss. Okay. There. Got it. That's a good one. Alright, let's go organize. So we have here compound. I got one. Got organic. I don't have any just spare organic sitting around. We got resin. We got laterite over there. Have anybody else? Nope, still Bing Cortana and Cherry Dipper. Welcome. Alright, we're going to spin this around until we find the orientation we want. And then I don't want it that way. So I usually do it with the arrows pointing out, because these little arrows at the front here. So I'm going to hook that in. Yeah, let's lock this into place so that I don't accidentally grab it. I got another 2 minutes on this one, and then we'll just hook over to a different one. It's going to stay. I'm not going to complain. Yeah. Anyway, I should have brought this. Well, I guess I was using it, so that wasn't possible. But you can also bring stuff like this with you. Now that I have a large platform, yeah. Now that I have a large platform, I can actually bring that with the oxygenator and have 3 available storage slots if I wanted to, for instance, bring the medium storage containers. Not container, but the medium storage items. Alright, what else do we have here? We need smelting furnace. 2 resin, 1 compound. And again, we can just hook up, actually we can take the disposable and hook it up here. We can take ours Hook it up here. And again, we're almost to 100% on efficiency. Alright, research is done. Hook the next one in. And this is again going to be the same sort of thing. So 12.5 minutes, 565 bytes. Nope, just lost some power on that one. Get out of the way so this can start moving on its own. Alright. It's going to just fill up the battery by itself. So we'll let it get out of its way and let it do its thing. In the woods, typically you will find more often ammonium, which is good for creating thrusters and creating rocket boosters, engines, that sort of thing. Alright, and battery's full. Alright, I'm going to go back down. Sure, why not? This smelter can be used in place of the oxygenator at the moment. Won't be able to bring down the extra items with the medium storage unless we... This isn't going to do it, right? Yeah, no. almost done. Alright, we can take those. The one is almost out of compound here, or not compound, almost out of organic here, so we can eventually just get this to it'll eventually stop. And take the oxygenator with us. And again, we can start hooking up medium storage if we feel like it. Which is going to add to our potential to put stuff on it and add to our potential for going down there, grabbing a whole bunch of stuff, and then bringing it all back. We don't really need all that much at the moment. But okay. Can also make 2 more of these and bring them with us as well. Again, not really necessary, but it's nice to be able to have this thing that we can take with us and be able to quickly grab a whole bunch of stuff. And it's now a mobile platform. Oh, we need to... Which, let's be honest, it's not actually useful all that much because now I can just print a buggy. But early game, that's one way to do it. Okay, we can fit on the smelter up to 4 goods. And our 5th one here, we can actually put just down here. It'll burn through all 4 of these and deposit them on the outer edges. And then the 5th one should, in theory, stay in the output, although it may just get dumped onto the ground. Either way, that's okay. Alright, so next question, above ground or below ground? So the stuff we need in terms of the, like just making stuff, we can get just about anywhere. In terms of like finding lost stuff, that's all going to be pretty much above ground. So I think we're going to go there first. See if we can see any more broken platforms or anything like that. Really? Come on, man. Do your thing. Oh, you can't do your thing. You don't have resin. Yeah, that was an obvious solution. Alright, so we're going to just go for a little bit of an exploration mission here. Going to take our oxygenator with us, so we'll be able to create oxygen anywhere we go, and then have these medium storage platforms on here. I guess that's another reason that this is actually better than a buggy at the moment, is because your buggy is only going to have like 2 single slots for storage, and really we're going to be using that storage for power generation. We're probably not going to be using it for actually carrying stuff, and it's only 2 small slots, so like that's not doing a whole lot for us. That is solar. Oh, and a medium solar. Nice. Stick that over here. Actually, it's a good thing then that we left one of those spaces blank. So now this can stick on here. Got the small solar, got the medium solar. I'll stick the small on here anyway. Doesn't much matter. Missed. Oh, that's what... Suddenly had a realization that it might be... I'm not getting... oops. Just 1 second. Yeah, I just realized that my browser may not actually be logged into Twitch, and that may be why my notifications always come back, like, when I'm done. Or something. I don't know. No, it's here. That's weird. Okay, we're not. Okay, well, that was not the problem. Let's see. Got another one out here. Oops. Hook that in. Got a bunch of these research, which we're not going to be able to pick up right now. They take up medium slots, which, again, that's what these are for. So we do have a bunch of clay that we can fit. Alright, and we get our home marker here. We get the package item indicator there. Got some research samples, which are just kind of hanging out on these plants. So, easy enough to take them. They're not worth a huge amount, but, you know, every little bit helps. Especially when we're trying to get, like, 1,500 for the buggy. Another 1,500 for the shuttle when we want to go off-world. Aww. It's one of the problems that almost always happens. we just take a quick look around, we got some other research samples up here. We're 36, so it's about the same as underground. Compound here on this side. And over here we have a beacon that's going up into the sky. We don't know anything about the beacons yet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But eventually it becomes a little bit. It'll become a little bit more obvious what we need, why they're there, what they're for. So actually, with our whole bunch of stuff, we can take all this with us and then go check it out. Also here we have some copper. Up to you if you want to bother. I will, generally speaking, take 1 copper and construct a light with it. That's about it. If you can, try to grab the feet, and it makes it a lot easier to do this jump with it. Alright, so around this corner we see that there is this shape off in the distance, which is again kind of on the opposite side of this big giant mountain range as our base. So without going around it, we possibly never would have known it was here. So it's one of those things that really emphasizes the need for going and exploring, just looking around in your world. Depending on your random seed, you may or may not see the beacons as you're heading over them in your spaceship. If you can see them as you're headed over, then it becomes a little more obvious that, oh wait, there's a thing here, maybe I should go look at that. Whereas in mine, for instance, because I let it sit for such a long time, we ended up in darkness as I was getting sent down in the shuttle, or in the pod. Oh man. No. Alright, you can see that it has a cable plug just the same as this thing. So we kind of bring it over here. Is it daytime? Okay. You can see right here it has a certain amount of power. I gotta unplug it because the disposables are being used to try to keep that at a certain level. Well, that's not really good for us, so I'm going to put this here. If we start up the generators, hook these up, gets us all the way to the top. Oh, but the one is running out of the one there is running out of power. I should have thought about this a little bit more carefully. Tethers, research, fireworks. Hey, it worked. Oh yeah, I did have an extra. Okay. Uh-oh. There we go. We have this odd stone, and when you gaze at it, there is this kind of system. Diagram, dim node, surface elevation 2, dim node, surface elevation 5, origin node, so this is where we are, surface elevation 3, dim node, surface elevation 6, dim node, surface elevation 4, and surface elevation 1, dim node, interior elevation. So this is giving us a big hint that there's other stuff to be found. We can go around the planet and find all of the other dim nodes that are here that are the same as this one and activate all of them. It's completely up to you whether you do or not. It doesn't much matter. The interior node is also something to note. So there is something on the inside of the planet. Let's go hunt that down too. Alright, we've got more debris over here. And this auto disconnected from the central platform, so. Alright. Let's go over here and look at this piece of junk that's sitting on the ground. Yep. Alright, so we got a disposable. And is that it? Yep. One time I do it right. Alright, so now our packaged item indicator is like halfway through the planet. Just something to note. Whoa. That's a hole. It doesn't go very far, but it's still a hole. Oh, wait. Is that? No. Okay. Thought it might have been a ball. Alas, it was not. Okay, so if we start moving this way. Trying to figure out why my secondary Twitch account did not get notifications that I was coming online. Well, that's really weird. Alright, so tonight I think probably I'm going to end Astroneer when I get back to base. Kind of hook up the system that I've got. Also connect up all of the connect up the couple of pieces that I got here. And probably switch to control. So I had been playing control the last few weeks. Probably just keep up my skills, make a little bit of progress in the game, take a quick break, all that good stuff. So take a little bit of time, and I found that control is kind of growing on me, so it's going pretty well. It's still as bizarre as ever, but you know. Okay, backpack is full. Curses. So put that over there. Now the battery is going to connect up and start packager. An oxygen tank, which I like. Another small canister. And a couple of tethers. We don't really typically need the tethers, but I don't need to be doing that either, but anyway. Alright, we leave the... You can actually leave the... it's a little fun. You can leave a packager pretty much anywhere, as long as it's attached to something that can be packaged. It leaves this little green light on, and then says, please hold, in my case, U, in your case, probably E, hold U to pack, and then when you hold it down, it does actually package everything. But if you just leave it like this, it will not package it, and instead it just leaves it where it is. And then you can carry it around, and in fact you can carry around hundreds of packagers. The one problem that I've had with packagers is that when you log back in, whatever it's attached to, it's not really attached to it anymore. Alright, so I added the oxygen tank to my inventory, which allows me to carry around stuff, or allows me to walk around a little bit more without having to always be near the oxygenator. Get a little bit of ammonium here. Maybe we can pick up and like one ammonium. There's organic. Oh, okay. I didn't think it was literally just going to be a tutorial on what debris is, but I guess that works. Alright, medium solar and small battery. We don't have room for the medium solar. toss out this organic and take a battery instead. A little bit more ammonium just here. There it is. There you go, there's your squeaker. Anyway. My platform is around the corner. Nope, it's right there. Okay. It's also another benefit here. You can also kind of skate where you want to go. If you skid down a hill and then pick up something as you're moving, it will allow you to skate down the hill instead of moving at whatever slow rate it wants you to. So, all in all, fairly lucrative. This is most definitely just a casual run, not like a speed run. So if you were here for speedrun, sorry. Alright, 10 minutes for 450. And we wanted a buggy. Because a medium rover is going to take rubber, so that's going to take a while. So a buggy is 1 compound, 1 aluminum, which we already have. Okay, grab an aluminum from over here. And then print it. Now that we're here, we can also hook in this stuff. Which now has more than enough power to do just about anything. Stick the packager up on top of the roof here. See, it's red, so it won't go anywhere, but we can just stick it on the roof at least and just leave it. All right. So when I grab a bubby, that's all sorts of messed up. When I grab a buggy like this, I will open it up. I will put on one of the small batteries onto the side and something that's going to generate power on the other. This will allow us to generate power into the battery, and the battery then feeds the charge in this particular thing. It's not like it really matters all that much. You're going to have plenty of power in this case. So just stick that there. We will keep the oxygen tank up here.
malachite, which gets us copper, will stay up there. We can't smelt anything else. No. So we'll go put these away. So here we have the space for laterite or aluminum now. Over this way, we've got space for resin, we don't have any. Space for organic, we don't have any. And space for compound. Stick under here. Space for graphite. And between these two, a space for ammonium. Alright, grab that copper. We will make the light. And now we get light immediately surrounding us. So this is fairly helpful, especially when we start going down into the darker areas underground. And we also need a rover seat. Compound. Wouldn't you know, I just put it away. So the rover is going to allow us, well, the buggy is going to allow us greater mobility at the cost of much less storage space. So if we have any particular need for any sort of like, storage space, a lot of storage space, then it would probably be more helpful to carry down the platform here with the oxygenator on it. When we go down into the planet on the next one, then I don't know, I'm going to have to debate. Going down to the lower reaches of the planet is really hard in a buggy, and I don't like it that much, but at the same time I have to be very careful with the platform and make sure I don't like drop it or something, especially down like a pit. Because if it goes down a pit, there's a good chance I'm not getting it back, and or if I drop it accidentally someplace and it like clips through the wall, that's going to be a big problem. As we get toward the center of the planet, there is a lot less gravity due to the fact that some of the mass of the planet is now above you. So we'll see how it goes. At any rate, I will save this here. Rename it. Strum World. Alright, I am going to make this a window capture. And